Every member of The Boys explained. Grace Mallory is the original founder of The Boys and a former CIA deputy director. She has a dark past, starting with her involvement in covert CIA operations in the 1980s. Her hatred for Supes began after a disastrous mission in Nicaragua, where a superhero team called Payback caused the deaths of 116 of her men. This event fueled her lifelong mission to bring down Vought and its Supes. She recruited Butcher, then Frenchie, and approved for who was recruited by Butcher to form the Boys and take the fight directly to Vought. She later tried to blackmail Lamplighter, one of the seven, who in response burned her hotel room thinking Grace was inside, killing her grandchildren who were inside and driving her to retire in grief. During season 3, she ends up taking care of Homelander's son Ryan, living in a safe house with him for over a year. But in season 4, her story takes a tragic turn when Ryan accidentally kills her during a confrontation. It's a heartbreaking reminder of how dangerous the world she helped create can be. Grace Mallory is the reason the Boys exist. She's the one who set them on their path. But she's also a reminder of the heavy price that comes with seeking revenge. Billy Butcher is the tough and gritty leader of the Boys, a group dedicated to taking down corrupt superheroes. Butcher is not your typical hero. He is driven by revenge and anger, especially towards those who misuse their powers. His story is full of pain, loss, and a constant battle between doing what's right and seeking revenge. Billy had a rough start in life. He grew up in the UK with an abusive father, which left both him and his younger brother Lenny deeply hurt. Billy tried his best to protect Lenny, but his anger often led him to violent outbursts. This anger was encouraged by his father, which only made things worse. As he got older, Billy left home and joined the British military, hoping to escape his past. But while he was away, Lenny couldn't take the abuse anymore and ended his own life. This loss haunts Billy and fills him with guilt and rage. Billy's life took another dark turn when he moved to America and fell in love with Becca Saunders. For a while they were happy, but everything changed when Becca disappeared after a horrible encounter with Homelander, the most powerful Supie. Billy believed that Homelander killed her, and this sparked his desire for revenge. To get back at Homelander, Billy joined forces with Grace Mallory, a former CIA operative, and formed the Boys to expose the dark side of Supes. As the leader of the Boys, Butcher is ruthless and will do whatever it takes to bring down Homelander and Vought International, the company that controls the Supes. He is smart and cunning and doesn't hesitate to get his hands dirty. He convinces Huey Campbell, a young man who lost his girlfriend to a Supe, to join his cause. Together with other members like Frenchie, Mother's Milk, and Kimiko, they fight against the corruption and cruelty of the Supes. Butcher's methods are often brutal. He doesn't just want justice, he wants revenge. This leads him to make questionable decisions, like using temporary superpowers from a drug called V24 to level the playing field. But this choice comes at a heavy price. Butcher develops a deadly brain tumor that gives him only a short time to live. Butcher's relationships are as complicated as he is. He sees Huey as a little brother and often reminds him of Lenny. Even though Butcher is harsh, he cares deeply for Huey and the rest of the Boys, even if he doesn't always show it. His relationship with Becca is the heart of his story. Her disappearance and death leave him shattered. Though he initially blames Ryan for Becca's death, he later promises to protect the boy, showing that deep down, Butcher is still capable of love and redemption. As Butcher's story progresses, he becomes more consumed by his quest for vengeance. He crosses lines he never thought he would, like taking the V24 drug and gaining temporary suit powers. This not only worsens his illness, but also shows how far he's fallen. By the end of season 4, Butcher's hatred for Supes drives him to the edge. He betrays his friends and plans a devastating attack on all Supes, including himself. Billy Butcher is a complicated character. He is not a hero, but he is not a villain either. He is a man driven by pain, loss, and a desire for revenge, which leads him to do terrible things in the name of justice. But underneath his tough exterior, there is a man struggling with his own demons. He is trying to protect the people he cares about, even if he doesn't always know how. In the end, Butcher shows us that even the strongest people can be vulnerable, and sometimes the lines between good and evil are not so clear. So let's dive into Huey Campbell's story. He's just a regular guy who gets thrown into a world of chaos and danger, and he's trying to find his way through it all. Huey starts off as a pretty ordinary dude. He works at an electronics store and lives with his dad. He's got a sweet girlfriend, Robin, and life is simple, maybe even a bit boring. But that all changes when a superhero named A-Train, who's high on a drug called Compound V, accidentally kills Robin. Huey's world shatters and he's left angry and lost. That's when Billy Butcher steps in. Butcher leads a group called the Boys, who are out to stop corrupt superheroes. He sees potential in Huey and recruits him. At first, Huey just wants revenge on A-Train, but as he gets deeper into this dangerous new life, he realizes it's about much more than just getting back at one person. After Robin's death, Huey meets Annie January, also known as Starlight. She's one of the few genuinely good superheroes. They start to get close, but it's complicated. Huey is torn between his feelings for Annie and his mission with the boys. This makes things messy, especially when he has to use their relationship to get information. But despite all the lies and tension, Huey really cares about Annie. Huey is not a natural fighter. Unlike the rest of the boys, he's uncomfortable with all the violence. The first time he kills someone, blowing up Translucent, one of the superheroes, it hits him hard. He's constantly questioning if what they're doing is right, and he struggles with the idea of becoming just as bad as the people they're fighting. In Season 3, Huey takes a drug called V24, which gives him temporary superpowers. Suddenly, he can teleport and has super strength. For Huey, who's always felt powerless, this is a big deal. But the power quickly goes to his head, and it starts messing up his relationship with Annie. Eventually, Huey realizes that he doesn't need powers to be strong, and that the cost of using them is too high. Even with everything he's been through, Huey stays true to himself. He's the moral center of the boys, always questioning if they're doing the right thing. While the others are focused on winning at any cost, Huey tries to find a way to fight without losing his humanity. He shows that you don't need to be super to be a hero. You just need to have heart. Let's talk about Marvin T. Milk, better known as Mother's Milk, or MM for short. He's the guy who keeps the boys grounded when things get crazy. He's got a strong sense of right and wrong, and he's always looking out for his team. MM's story starts with tragedy. As a kid, he looked up to his dad, who was a lawyer fighting to take down the powerful company Vought after their superhero, Soldier Boy, killed MM's grandfather. His dad spent years trying to get justice, but the stress took a toll, and he passed away when Mem was still young. This loss stuck with MM, fueling his determination to make Vought pay for what they did. After joining the military as a medic, MM became known for his leadership skills and strong moral compass. He eventually crossed paths with Billy Butcher, who saw MM's potential and brought him into the boys. Even though MM tries to stay away from the violence and chaos, he can't resist the pull to fight against the corrupt superheroes who have ruined so many lives, including his own. One of MM's biggest struggles is balancing his need for revenge with his love for his family. He has a daughter, Janine, and an ex-wife, Monique, who he cares about deeply. MM tries to keep them safe by staying away from the boys, but he can't stay away for long. The need to make things right keeps dragging him back in, even when it puts his family at risk. My M is the one who stays calm when everyone else is losing it. He's the voice of reason, always thinking things through and making sure the team doesn't go too far. But he's also got his own demons. He struggles with OCD, a condition made worse by the trauma he's experienced. MM tries to manage it, but the stress of leading the boys and worrying about his daughter makes it tough. MM has a deep hatred for Soldier Boy, the soup who killed his grandfather. When Butcher brings Soldier Boy back into the picture, MM is furious. He's determined to take Soldier Boy down, even if it means going against Butcher and the rest of the boys. This conflict puts MM in a tough spot as he's torn between his need for revenge and his responsibility to his team. Throughout everything, MM remains the moral backbone of the boys. He's the one who reminds them why they're fighting and makes sure they don't lose themselves in the process. Even when things get messy, MM keeps his focus on the bigger picture, trying to protect the people he cares about and make the world a better place. In the end, MM is more than just muscle or brains. He's the heart of the boys, and his story is one of trying to do the right thing in a world that's gone wrong. Frenchie, whose real name is Serge, is the kind of guy you'd want on your side in a fight, even if you're never quite sure what he'll do next. He's a mix of brilliance, danger, and heart, a combination that makes him one of the most interesting members of the boys. Frenchie didn't have an easy childhood. His dad was abusive, and that left some deep scars. Frenchie learned to survive by being tough and resourceful, traits that would later make him a valuable asset to the boys. After leaving home, he ended up in New York, alone and struggling. But he found comfort in the unlikeliest of places, a TV show called The Golden Girls. Inspired by the idea of creating his own family, Frenchie built connections with people who became as close as family to him. Before joining the boys, Frenchie was deep into a life of crime. He was a skilled thief, hitman, and weapons expert. His unique ability to create gadgets that could take down supes caught the attention of Grace Mallory, who recruited him into the group. Frenchie didn't join willingly at first. Mallory had to blackmail him by threatening his friends Cherie and Jay. But once he was in, he became a crucial part of the team, using his talents to help them in their fight against Vought and the Soupies. One of the biggest turning points in Frenchie's life was meeting Kimiko. He found her locked in a cage and saw something in her that no one else did. While the others were focused on the mission, Frenchie was determined to help her. Over time, their bond grew strong. Frenchie was the only one who could really connect with Kimiko, and in many ways he helped her find her humanity again. In turn, Kimiko made Frenchie want to be a better person, which is part of why he's so protective of her. Frenchie's past is full of regret. He carries the weight of every life he's taken, and it haunts him. One of his biggest regrets is the death of Mallory's grandchildren, which happened because he left his post to save his friend Jay. Even though Frenchie saved Jay that night, Jay later died from another overdose, leaving Frenchie to feel like he failed on both fronts. This guilt drives many of his actions, especially his need to protect those he cares about, like Kimiko. In Season 3, Frenchie's past comes back to haunt him in the form of Little Nina, a ruthless crime boss he used to work for. She tries to drag him back into his old life, but Frenchie resists. He's tired of being used as a weapon and wants to break free from the chains of his past. But escaping Nina isn't easy, and Frenchie ends up getting caught in her web again, leading to some of the darkest moments he's had to face. Despite all his flaws, Frenchie is the heart of the boys. He's the one who sees the humanity in people, even when they don't see it in themselves. He's also the team's go-to guy for all things technical. Whether it's building a bomb or picking a lock, Frenchie can do it all. But what really sets him apart is his loyalty. Frenchie would do anything for his friends, even if it means putting himself in danger. In the end, Frenchie is more than just a wild card. He's the Galileo that holds the boys together. He's always ready with a crazy plan, a kind word, or a well-timed joke, and that's what makes him such an essential part of the team. Kimiko Miyashiro, often referred to simply as the female, is a complex and powerful member of the boys. Though she rarely speaks, her actions and emotions speak volumes, making her one of the most compelling characters in the series. Kimiko's story begins in Japan, where she lived with her parents and younger brother, Kenji. Her life took a dark turn when terrorists from the Shining Light Liberation Army invaded her home, killing her parents in front of her and abducting both her and Kenji. Forced into the life of a child soldier, Kimiko endured years of brutality. Her trauma ran so deep that she eventually became mute, losing the ability to speak after witnessing so much horror. Kimiko's tragic fate took another twisted turn when she was captured by the terrorists and smuggled into the United States, where she was injected with Compound V. This drug turned her into a soup with incredible strength and a healing factor that allows her to recover from almost any injury. But instead of becoming a hero, Kimiko was turned into a super terrorist. When the boys find Kimiko locked in a cage, they mistake her for a helpless victim. But as they soon learn, Kimiko is anything but helpless. She breaks free and goes on a rampage, tearing through her captors with terrifying efficiency. Despite her brutal nature, Frenchie sees something more in her, a scared and broken girl who just wants to find her brother and go home. Kimiko's relationship with Frenchie is one of the most important aspects of her character. From the moment he frees her, Frenchie becomes her protector, her friend, and eventually something more. He's the only one who truly understands her, even without words. Frenchie's kindness and patience help Kimiko reconnect with her humanity, and in return she gives him someone to care for, someone who makes him want to be better. However, their relationship isn't without its challenges. Kimiko's desire for revenge after her brother's death drives her to become an assassin, much to Frenchie's dismay. Their bond is tested as Kimiko struggles with the darkness inside her, but Frenchie never gives up on her, even when she seems to give up on herself. Despite her terrifying powers, Kimiko longs for a normal life. She dreams of a life without violence, where she can just be herself without the burden of her abilities. This desire becomes even more apparent after she temporarily loses her powers following an encounter with Soldier Boy. For a brief moment, Kimiko gets a taste of what it would be like to be normal, and it's everything she's ever wanted. But the world of the boys isn't one where dreams come true easily. Kimiko eventually realizes that her powers are not a curse, but a tool she can use to protect the people she loves, especially Frenchie. She chooses to regain her powers, not because she wants to be a weapon, but because she wants to keep her found family safe. Kimiko's powers are nothing short of terrifying. With superhuman strength, speed, agility, and a healing factor that makes her nearly impossible to kill, she's a force to be reckoned with. Whether she's ripping through enemies with her bare hands or taking down supes who underestimate her, Kimiko is a reminder that you don't need words to be powerful. Despite her brutal efficiency in combat, Kimiko is not just a killing machine. She's a deeply emotional character, carrying the weight of her past with her every day. Her journey is one of healing, both physically and emotionally, as she learns to balance the violence of her abilities with the humanity she still holds on to. Underneath the violence and trauma, Kimiko has a heart of gold. She cares deeply for her friends, especially Frenchie, and will do anything to protect them. Her relationship with Frenchie evolves from a simple bond of trust to something much deeper, as they both realize that they are each other's family. Kimiko's journey is about finding that balance between the monster she was forced to become and the person she truly wants to be. In the chaotic world of the boys, Kimiko is a beacon of quiet strength, showing that even the most broken people can find a way to heal and protect those they love. Her story is far from over, and as she continues to fight alongside the boys, we can only expect her to grow even stronger, both in power and in heart. Starlight, also known as Annie January, is the kind of superhero who actually wants to make the world a better place. But when she joins the Seven, she quickly finds out that the superhero life isn't all it's cracked up to be. Annie grew up with a big secret. Her powers came from Compound V, not from God, as her mom told her. From a young age, her mother pushed her into beauty pageants and superhero training, determined to make Annie a star. Annie played along, hoping to one day join the Seven, the most famous superhero team in the world. Annie's dream comes true when she's picked to join the Seven, but her excitement fades fast when she meets her so-called heroes. On her very first day, she's sexually assaulted by the Deep, a reality check that the Seven isn't about saving people. It's about power and control. Annie quickly realizes that being in the Seven means compromising her values. She's pressured into wearing a revealing costume and told to follow orders, no matter how much they go against what she believes in. But Annie doesn't just sit back and take it. She starts pushing back, speaking out about her assault, and refusing to be just another puppet for Vought, the corporation behind the Seven. Her courage puts her on Homelander's radar, making her life even more dangerous. In the midst of all this, Annie finds an unexpected ally in Huey Campbell. Their relationship starts off with Huey using her to spy on the Seven, but it quickly turns into something real. Annie and Huey's bond gives her strength, even when she finds out he was lying to her at first. Despite the rocky start, they stick together, helping each other navigate the chaos around them. As Annie continues to fight back against Vaught's corruption, she realizes that playing by the rules won't work. She takes big risks, like stealing a sample of Compound V to expose the truth about how soups are really made. Her actions put her at odds with her teammates, and she's eventually labeled a traitor and imprisoned by Vought. But with Huey's help, she escapes and officially joins the Boys, a group dedicated to taking down Vought and the Seven. In Season 3, Annie's popularity soars, and she's named co-leader of the Seven alongside Homelander. But this new title comes with even more pressure and danger. Homelander's behavior becomes more erratic, and Annie is forced to play along with his twisted games to stay alive. By the time season 4 rolls around, Annie is tired of the lies, manipulation, and constant danger. She's no longer the bright-eyed girl who just wanted to save the world. She's been through too much, lost too many people, and seen too much darkness. But instead of giving up, Annie doubles down on her fight against Vought. She exposes the truth about Homelander and Soldier Boy to the public, risking everything to make sure the world knows what's really going on. Annie's journey is one of self-discovery. She starts off as Starlight, the idealistic superhero, but she ends up embracing her true identity as Annie January, a woman who's not afraid to fight for what's right, even if it means getting her hands dirty. In the end, Annie's real power isn't just in her superhuman abilities, it's in her unbreakable spirit. She might not have all the answers, but she knows one thing for sure. She's not backing down. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit like and subscribe. Comment below your favorite member of the boys. See you next time.